We begin not with control, but with understanding. There will always be noise beyond us, in the world, in people, in outcomes we can't predict. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't chase silence outside, they found it within. You are not the weight of your past, nor the pressure of the future. You are the awareness in this moment. And in that awareness, you are free. There is something steady within you, an unmoved place. Not cold, not detached, but calmly grounded. That's the core of Stoic thought. Not to become numb, but to become clear. Pain may knock, chaos may stir, but your response is always yours to shape. What power there is in knowing that. What freedom exists in that pause between event and reaction. A space where clarity lives, if you're willing to let it rise. There's a subtle strength in stillness. Not the kind that shouts or seeks attention, but the kind that endures, quietly, patiently, without demand. The Stoics didn't promise a life without hardship. They never claimed that peace was found by escaping difficulty. In fact, they embraced it. They believed discomfort was not the enemy, but the teacher. And in every hardship, a lesson. In every moment of pain, a path toward growth. When the world moves quickly, when expectations press down and chaos rattles the door, the Stoic mind pauses. It doesn't run, it doesn't cling, it simply observes. This doesn't mean emotion is denied. It means emotion is understood. Anger, fear, frustration, all are natural, but they are not kings. They don't rule you unless you give them the throne. A calm life begins with clarity. And clarity begins by asking, is this in my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Not with bitterness, but with grace. Because peace isn't found in forcing things to change. It's found in changing the way we see. There's a quiet kind of wisdom in knowing where your power ends and where your peace begins. A Stoic doesn't chase happiness. They understand that to chase it is to suggest it's somewhere far away, hidden in a future event, a possession, or the approval of someone else. But real contentment doesn't arrive with noise. It slips in quietly when you stop looking for it in things you can't hold. The ancient philosophers believed that peace is not passive. It is an act of courage, to remain steady in the face of uncertainty, to hold your values when the world pulls you in every direction, to choose character over comfort. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. It wasn't meant to frighten. It was meant to sharpen focus, to bring you back to the present and to the question, am I living in alignment with who I want to be? Most distractions lose their power when placed beside that question. So many of life's problems stem not from what's happening, but from our resistance to what's happening. The Stoics didn't ask for easy lives, they asked for strong minds, and they built them, thought by thought, moment by moment. Strength to them wasn't loud, it was calm. You are not your thoughts, you are the one who sees them. This is one of the most liberating truths in Stoicism, that a thought is not a command, a feeling is not a verdict. They are simply passing visitors in the mind, drifting through like weather across an open sky. You do not need to act on every thought. You do not need to believe every emotion. You can notice them, acknowledge them, and choose your response. That is freedom. Not in having perfect control over the world, but in having inner clarity when the world is anything but perfect. Epictetus wrote, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." A delay isn't a tragedy. A rude comment isn't a wound. A closed door isn't a defeat, unless we label it that way. Perspective is everything, and the Stoics trained themselves to see differently, to ask, what does this moment require of me, rather than, why is this happening to me? There is no use in cursing the wind, but you can adjust your sails, and sometimes the greatest strength is in how quietly you choose to hold your peace when others lose theirs. That's Stoicism. Not cold, not distant, just steady. Life is not always fair. It was never meant to be. But Stoicism teaches that fairness is not something we're owed. It's something we can offer, regardless of what the world gives in return. There is dignity in how you carry yourself. There is honor in staying true to your principles, even when no one sees it. Seneca once wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." Pain then becomes a tool, not one we welcome, but one we understand. It reveals our edges. It shows us where we still react, where we still cling, where we still need to grow. To the Stoics, suffering was not shameful. It was a chance to live your values in the moments that matter most. You can't always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your posture. Do you meet the moment with grace or resistance? With wisdom or reaction? This is what shapes your character, not the easy days, but the ones that test you. The Stoic doesn't avoid the storm, they learn to remain grounded within it. And over time, that groundedness becomes unshakable, not because the world gets easier, but because you become clearer. So much of life is noise. Opinions, expectations, the need to be seen, to be right, to be validated. But the Stoics learned to quiet the noise, not by silencing the world, but by silencing their need to respond to everything. Not every opinion needs an answer. Not every insult deserves attention. Not every moment requires your reaction. There's strength in letting things pass, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude wasn't some poetic ideal to him. It was armor, a way to protect the mind from the poison of entitlement and frustration. To the Stoic, a peaceful day doesn't come from having everything go right. It comes from seeing things rightly. You can carry chaos inside a quiet room, and you can carry calm through a crowded world. It's not what surrounds you, it's what you choose to hold on to. So hold loosely, observe gently, respond with intention. That is the Stoic way, not to suppress life, but to move through it with quiet mastery. There's a quiet revolution in accepting things as they are. Not as an act of defeat, but of power, because acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means choosing not to waste your energy fighting what you cannot change. The Stoics didn't teach surrender and weakness. They taught alignment with reality, and in that alignment, they found strength. A storm is not personal. A delay is not an attack. A loss is not the end. These are simply parts of nature. And we too are part of nature. When something disrupts you, pause and ask, is this truly harming me or just offending my expectations? Most of the time, it's the latter. So much suffering comes not from what's happening, but from the space between what we expected and what arrived. The Stoic narrows that space, not by lowering their standards, but by shifting their focus, from control to clarity, from reaction to response. And they remind themselves, this moment is not an enemy, it is simply what is. Your work is not to wrestle it into shape, but to meet it with awareness, with character, and with calm. That's not resignation, that's power. You've likely been told that strength means showing no weakness, that to be unshaken, you must be emotionless, untouchable, immune. But the Stoics saw it differently. True strength isn't the absence of feeling, it's the ability to feel without being ruled. To grieve without losing yourself in sorrow. To feel anger without becoming cruel. To experience fear without abandoning reason. That is discipline, that is mastery. And it's not earned in one moment. It's shaped over a lifetime, through choice, through reflection, through small, deliberate pauses. Seneca wrote, "If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person." This work, then, is inward. It isn't loud, it doesn't ask for applause, but it changes you, steadily, and in time, the storms that used to shake you begin to pass through you. Not because you've hardened, but because you've grown steady at the center. That is the fruit of Stoicism. Not perfection, not detachment, but inner resilience, quiet, solid, and deeply alive. There is a calm that cannot be disturbed. Not because life gets easier, but because you get clearer. The Stoics didn't escape reality, they embraced it. They walked through difficulty with open eyes and steady hearts. They reminded themselves again and again, this too belongs to life. Joy, sorrow, gloss. None are permanent. None define you. All are opportunities to choose your response, to return to your principles, to stay rooted in who you are. At the core of Stoicism is not coldness but clarity, not detachment but presence, not silence but thoughtful restraint. And with each moment you practice that awareness, with each time you pause instead of react, you become more grounded, more free. Your circumstances may shift, the world may pull, but your peace doesn't have to follow. You've remembered something essential, that your thoughts are yours, that your character is yours, that your calm is yours, and no one can take that from you. So as this reflection closes, carry this steadiness with you. Not loudly, not proudly, just quietly, like a still flame in the wind. This has been Echoes of Calm, and your strength is already within you.